Hi guys, welcome back to Clockwork Noodles, the channel where we nearly are at the end now. The season is nearly over. This has been probably one of my best seasons of the year. I really enjoyed the amount of titles that came out this year. There's been a lot of different stories, a lot of different anime, something for everyone. And I found a lot of really nice stories to really get involved with this season as well. This is also one of those animes. Make sure you are subscribed because next week my video, the wrap up for spring 2021, is going up. I have finally got my top 3 together. Took me a while and I've really had to think about it and it wasn't easy to pick, but I've got top 3. And I will be telling you guys what I'm watching next season as well. What are the animes I've chosen to break down on the channel. It is an interesting season of isekai, of sequels, and some quite unique stories coming our way. So very looking forward to it. Can be a bit hit and miss. Off the bat, it does look like a quieter season. So let's break it down because this episode was something I wasn't expecting. It ended up being quite the calm after last week's episode. And I'm not going to lie, last week's episode was really heavy. It got to me. I ended up having to take a chill out and go and do some distracting stuff elsewhere because I found it really, really heavy. But this week's episode was a 360. It's a complete contrast from last week. I do like the fact that we start with a beautiful image, just very contrasty, the weapons of war in a beautiful, peaceful sea of blue. It's a calming colour. Blue is a very calming colour. And the seeing those flowers, the nature, everything, it suddenly puts you in a nice little setting, puts you in a setting of just calm, of just silence, of nature, of quiet. The music too as well, showing us this calm. We've got some beautiful wind instruments, some strings. There's a flute which generally rises above everything and leads for a little bit, then goes back down again. And it's free. It's very soft. It's gentle. The scenes of nature, the beauty of the world that is outside of the war zones, the world that is now untouched, the world that no one even lives in anymore. It's a beautiful montage. There's no words really needed initially at this first initial segment. It's just a really nice chill out time just to see our characters, what they're up to. We get to see a free 86ers as they're continuing onwards with their special recon mission, avoiding the attention of the Legion as well. But it's nice because we also get to see what kind of season we're in. And I think we might be around autumn with those beautiful red leaves on the floor. It's really pretty. We've got some really quite expressive colours. The blues are quite soft, but then the reds of the leaves are quite vivid as well. The reminder, seeing the Legion going ahead in the night and the guys having to put out the lights to avoid attention, just reminding you that the threat is still out there. It might be nice that we're being lured into this gorgeous scenery of peace, but the threat is still out there. The threat is still lurking within. But it's moments of stuff like this, the peace, nature, reminding you that everything's temporary. Everything is all temporary, that there's always something still lurking in the story. There is a lot of really pretty light this episode as well. Beautiful light. I really like the way that this anime does light. One thing 86 does really well throughout the entire episode, the entire anime, is backgrounds, colours, lights, scenery. It really does paint a picture. The world of San Magnolia feels busy, bustling, very modern. The world of the 86 feels traditional, nice and chill, relaxed, old worldy kind of style. And we do get to see a completely different world this week as well. Well, it's very dated. And we'll talk about that sequence when we get there. But we do find out it has been 2 weeks of freedom on this recall mission going off the grid, no longer checking in with Vladilena anymore. This is also going to be the first episode of the anime where we don't flip over to Vladilena. We flip over to someone else, which I wasn't expecting, but we don't see Vladilena at all this week. I do think the last final episode of this core, because we are splitting for a bit, episode 11 is probably going to be Vladilena. I think we're going to get her goodbye to the first tough of the core, and then that will be her side. So it'll be interesting. I think that will be our chill point. This is our chill out, relax point now. And then I'm not sure what the second core is going to have in store. It's not happening next season, so I predict that 86 is probably returning later in the year, in fall, maybe in winter. Not sure which one yet. I haven't checked. It's just such a nice sequence, the initial first half of just them being free. There's no rush to do anything. Nobody's telling them what to do. Everyone can be relaxed. It's just a very calm segment, which we need. It really needs it after last week. We need this calm, a bit more slower paced episode. The interactions of the guys, once again, bonding, relaxing with one another. Ever so often being reminded that the horrors of war are still there. The 576 dead comrades who are no longer there with them. As we also get quite real topics, down to earth topics of what might happen after death. Where do we go? Do you believe the soul continues? we are reminded of the mission that Shin carries upon himself, the idea of carrying their comrades' names forward until they starve, until they run out of stuff. They know that this is a mission that has a time limit on it. They can only go on for so long. Eventually, they're gonna end up starving or finding the Legion. So this is only temporary. But it's gorgeous. We get some beautiful blue skies, some nice calm waters. It's a complete 360. Where we start to meet our unexpected character for the week, and this is the Shin and Fido conversations. Fido's always been there, he's always been this character in the background, and it's very nice to actually add a different layer to him this week. Where the next world that this beautiful anime takes us to is the old Imperial Territory. It's a territory that is long gone, territory that no one lives anymore. And it looks like it's frozen in time, a town completely frozen in time. And you can imagine the kind of lifestyle people had. It looks a bit more, again, traditional, something that we'd be a bit more accustomed to. A bit more modern as well. We've got things like zoos, we've got the roads as well. It's a step under San Magnolia, almost a precursor for what San Magnolia is now. But a time frozen in the past, probably no longer remembered by many people, and we do get to hear the word Gadian Empire being thrown about here and there as well. The anime putting in some gorgeous details in the fashion as well. Fashion feels like a bit dated, it helps date the idea. The roads going up and down, and it's almost untouched. This is like a land which is completely untouched. There's not too much damage floating around as well. We can definitely get a vibe of the place, a vibe of what it would have been, a bustling plaza with the fountain in the background. Some really pretty shots as well, some really great lighting, really loving the lighting. It's very bright and it kind of blurs things out at times. The lens flare blurring out details because this is a time longer. You can't see everything and it's hard to see into the past, and people do kind of blur the lines when they're thinking back to it. So I feel like the lighting really works for these dated sequences. Shin as a character this week just being completely free. He's finally lifted that horrible burden that he's been carrying with him since childhood, since forever. He's softer, he laughs more, he sleeps more, and I love it. I love seeing Shin finally smile. It seems like it's our reward for going through everything of this first half core. Even if they ended with just Shin smiling, I would have taken that as a win. But they do say that he's finally found a person to entrust his words to, which I guess is Vladilena. The only time we do kind of hear her mentioned at this point. We do get that worrying word that now that he's achieved his mission, that's it, and he's obviously left his last words with Vladilena, he's now left with nothing, which is quite concerning. And the way they build up a bit of tension where we wake up and Shin has gone. But I think the saddest point for me this week was seeing the zoo animals who starved and died in their cages. They were trapped, they couldn't get out, and they just died there. And it hits a bit deeper because I am such a big animal lover, and things like that trigger me a little bit because it's quite sad. But it's all just mirroring, link themselves to the same. We are just in a cage waiting to die, that we are nothing more than caged animals. But it is a stark reminder because obviously up to this point we've had some really nice nature shots, some really nice colours, a nice peaceful town. But here we are again with the reminder that darkness is just lurking beneath the surface. Round each corner, darkness is there. And we see Shin has tracked down a lost 86, somebody who has strayed from home and has been stalking them but doesn't mean any harm about. And we see him once again bringing about a quick peaceful end to their existence. He doesn't know a name for this one though, so at this point he can't carry this person's name across. I don't think their last words would have been their own name. But it does bring about the the credits, the beautiful song that has really grown upon me. And I was wondering if we were gonna, at this point, once the credits finished rolling, flip over to Vladilena. But this doesn't happen. This does not happen this week. We're not chickening Wild Girl this week. But it does raise a big question. Is there life beyond the Legion and San Magnolia? So we might have been trapped within the war thinking it's just San Magnolia versus the Legion. But is there anything else out in the world? Are there places out there that are completely removed from this battle that's going on? Which could be a bit of foreshadowing perhaps as well. Maybe that's what they're going to end up. They're going to find somewhere, a new home, somewhere completely separate from these places. And they're going to be able to finally settle down outside of this horrible mess that's going on. But some absolutely gorgeous imagery now where we see a shot of each of our 5 all of them just wondering, are we going to die like these animals? Are we the same? Thinking of these quite existential questions as the camera slowly pulls away with each of them. And each time it adds in an obstruction, whether it's a pole or it's one of these girders that hold up these exhibits, the cages that it holds these animals, suggesting that they've got a blocked perspective, that they can't see the full picture. We currently don't know what's out there. Nobody knows what else out there, unless you've read the manga, and I don't know the manga's even over, the light novel. I don't even know if that's over yet, so you may not even know what's out there currently, but you probably do. It's just a keep on moving forward that Fido chips in, which is really, really nice. That kind of pulls them back to go, okay, let's continue. All we can do is keep walking forward. But we do end on a bit of a odd line where Raiden asks Shin, will you go to the other side of the water to watch? I don't know if Shin's considering going back or not. Or is he asking him, are you going to join us across that lake that we can't traverse and watch everything burn from the other side? Just be a observer, as you might be safe on the other side of this water. Perhaps it has two meanings. The end sequence is not Ladalina, but it is indeed Fido and Shin, which is great because he's a character who's been there throughout the entire first half of this story, but we've never really thought much of him. He's just cute. He makes these occasional beep boop sounds, which is amazing, and he reminds me of a bit of a Necron from Warhammer. It's the backstory between these two, which is absolutely great, and it does also give us a slightly different version of storytelling, which is really nice. But we see baby Shin taking home his perhaps first name, seeing how young he is when he's starting to take on the burden of bringing these names with us, as he asks Fido, can you join me? Come with me. Making a friend, I like that. He's that kind of person who doesn't want to leave him alone on the battlefield. He starts to show us Shin's journey up until the more final position in Spearhead. We actually finally get to see the moment they all arrived. The 86 treating them nothing more than just numbers on a blackboard in death row as well. Got quite a death row feel of them holding up the boards. Sun Magnolia being horrible as ever. Nothing new there. But Shin making his unforgettable entrance to show the new people who are there with him. He's a cool character. He's got attitude and we like him. Fido gives us a more interview-style storytelling, and I like this. I like a new kind of storytelling. It's very clever to them to add it in, because it also makes sense that all of these people would be talking to Fido. He doesn't talk back, but he acts as an outlet for them to get out their emotions, act like a camera. And the only thing coming to mind, this is very old, is Big Brother, when people would go in to talk to Big Brother. He was just meant to be more like an AI and he really wouldn't give anything back. But it's a place to just let your emotions run and just talk about it. And that's exactly what we get to see. We get to see Reina and her crush slowly growing more and more as she gets excited because, oh my God, Shin might have touched my hand. You can imagine this. This feels real. You would go and tell the inanimate object who can't tell anybody else that you've got a crush on Shin about your crush on Shin. We get to see people around look after Shin, look after him. We get to see the crush start to grow. Fido is accepted as part of the family, which is really, really nice. I like this. Complete contrast here as well. He's part of the family. He's part of the members of the team. He is different from them. He might even be a pilotless drone, which is exactly what Sam Magnolia thinks these guys are. But he's treated equally with respect. They see him as a family leader, a friend. It's a complete contrast to the way that Sam Magnolia treats and acts. Just seeing the warmth of these people, how accepting they really are. He acts as a journal for these people. So Shin might be carrying the names forward, but Fido is carrying their memories. He's carrying all the names, the memories. Every single person is within him. As our numbers slowly drop, and this is the sad bit because we finally get when the main themes start to play, the numbers start to dwindle. We see Raina's crush growing stronger and stronger. Daya as well, he has a crush on Anju. He asks, Fido, I've got a crush. How can I do something for her? And then we get hit by the spiraling realism once more as Daya dies. And the way we see his hands parting, trying to grab for what is presumably Anju's hand, and they can't do it. That he's torn apart. That visual is absolutely gorgeous. Really powerful visual, that one. Reina starting to get more and more depressed, growing a bit more desperate, really wanting to be able to help Shin. He is a third story. Up until this point, it's been a story of two halves. We've got Vladlina, we've got the 86. This time, we've got third person who is detracted from the entire story, who's just monitoring. He's just there. He is a third side of our story. He even shows us right up to our goodbye as they head out for their secret recon mission. Fido too is carrying all the names. Shin is not alone in his burden. And we also see that Fido commits Shin's brother's name to memory, because Shin does say, Fido knows what I've done. Fido knows how I've managed to get the name. And then the final sequence really hammering home that everything is temporary, all this joy, all this calm is temporary. Fido explodes in flames, which perhaps shows us that maybe they hit trouble. Maybe they actually finally found the Legion. Perhaps they ended up in a battle they could not win. But Fido is finally gone. It's a nice way of making us feel for Fido and then take him away from us very cruelly. I really enjoyed this week's episode. I do like a bit of dynamic storytelling is what we've got. We've got a lot of storytelling through layers and sometimes even not even using words. Not using words to convey a story and still be able to convey a feeling, a message, really does show you the level of commitment and detail that the anime is going to, because it's able to put it off. Even in those first opening sequences, you can see how calm and beautiful being outside in that nature really feels. Nobody's telling you that, and there's no narrator telling you that. You just get that from the smiles, from the energy, from all of the visuals and the colours being shown to you. Blue is very calming. I love this week's episode. I think it's done very, very well. Also quite relieved that they didn't initially die like I thought, because the ending of last week's episode, the way it was done, the way they were mentioning the red fields, it felt really poignant. So it probably meant a more metaphysical death. To Vladilena, they have died. On that board, they're dead. They're no more there. She's lost Spearhead. She hasn't got that unit anymore. So it's more a metaphysical death, but at the same time, our unit is slowly marching to death nonetheless. Next week's episode, I predict would probably be Vladilena, perhaps getting her episode before we leave off. Looking forward to seeing how Vladilena's going to leave us, what message she's going to leave us on. Hopefully we also get to see a bit more of her interactions with Annette after what happened with her actually helping her breaking a few rules. So going to be interesting to see where that goes. So I look forward to next week. I hope you guys are taking care of yourselves. I will see you guys again then. Have a good day, guys. Bye-bye.